Hello, I'm Adrienne, the Food Whisperer, and teaching you how to make healthy meals in minutes has always been my passion. So no matter where you are, let me invite you back into the kitchen and let's bring joy into your cooking. Let's get started. Welcome to Healthy Meals in Minutes. We are going to have a lot of fun today. You're going to notice that we are very veggie forward with our meals that we are making. Basically, that means I'm not using starchy carbs because you already know how to do that. It's trying to find these proteins, it's trying to find our veggies that we need, especially at the end of the day. So today we're going to be doing our Moroccan spiced butternut squash and zucchini, as original as it gets. Maybe it's on your phone, maybe it's on your tablet, maybe you have the paper. So with this, we're going to have our ground turkey. If you would like to use ground beef, if you would like to use ground chicken, you may. You can also even use your plant-based if you like. We have zucchini. This is the biggest zucchini I have seen ever. 1 1/3 pounds. Yes, it is actually a science. I had to figure out that for a serving of 4, we need 1 1/3 pounds of zucchini. Will you ever be able to find exactly that amount? Probably not. However, get it in that area and you'll have it. We have some frozen butternut squash. We can always use fresh. Again, using the frozen makes it easier. It's more economical. You don't have to battle a large butternut squash. And then we have our Primal Kitchen avocado oil, which is fabulous for high heat. We have some Himalayan salt. And then we also have a Moroccan spice blend. You will notice that I have even given you the ingredients to make your own Moroccan spice blend, which makes your life so much easier if you can't find it at the store. And this way you can also choose which ingredients you want in it. So for example, we have a cayenne pepper in here. I don't have it in mine. It does give it a nice pop. However, right now, my body doesn't like spicy foods, so I'm leaving it out. You can too. These are foundational recipes that we are doing, okay? So basically, I just want you to have fun in the kitchen. We're using my parents' old, I think these are probably 50 years old saute pans that I'm using today, and it still works great. So whatever you have in your kitchen is going to be perfect. Now, the first thing we want to do is to clean our veggies. And all I use is water and baking soda. Fun fact, there was a research study done, I don't know, 5, 8 years ago, that looked at the differences with veggie washes and bleach in water and vinegar in water, baking soda in water, and they found that baking soda and water actually takes off the most amount of residue from your vegetables. So I have a veggie bowl here. Drives my husband crazy when I do this because I'll just keep it on the side of the sink. You can too. And we're going to just put our zucchini in here and we are going to just rub and clean it and wash it off. And I'm going to let that rest in my dish rack for right now. We'll move this over to the side. And then, like I said, we have our ground turkey. We're using frozen butternut squash. We are just going to pull that out of the freezer. We don't need to let it defrost overnight since butternut squash that's frozen is already cooked, and it'll get super mushy once we are heating it back up. Unless you like mushy butternut squash, right? So that's the way that goes. We are using a gas stove here. If you have an electric, not a problem. Again, I just want you to have fun while we're doing things, okay? So first we are going to take our jumbo zucchini. If you have a smaller zucchini, I am saying that you are going to be cutting this into half moons, right? We might cut these a little bit different today. And I love when these things happen because in real life, you're not always going to find the same size produce. You're going to find different size portions going on in bags. So we're going to cut the end off of each part of the zucchini. Toss that in the trash. So I noticed the other day when I was cutting that there are different ways that people cut vegetables. And some will put off all their ends and keep them stored until the end. Some will be OCD like me and cut and throw everything away as it happens. How do you like to cut your veggies? Again, this is super big. If you don't have lots of knife skills, I am not going to recommend that you cut this in half lengthwise, okay? I'm going to recommend that you cut it straight down the middle so that it's easier. Then we will cut these in half lengthwise. This is about making a meal. This is not about knife skills, okay? So I'm not going to sit here and ask you to harm yourself by any means when we're cutting up our vegetables. So we're going to cut these into half moons. I know I said I was thinking about cutting them a different way, but this way you're going to see what the product looks like when we're cooking it, right? So we're going to cut these. I have them lined up like little soldiers. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've kind of, you see how your zucchini have different shapes to them? But you can fit them together so that it fits nicely together when you're cutting them. And if you are not comfortable with putting double rows here, by all means, save your fingers first and let's cut that way. The biggest thing that you need to pay attention to when you are cutting any vegetable is what? Saving your fingers, right? Your knife, your blade. It's a sawing motion that you use when you're cutting, all right? If you go flat, watch, you're not going to cut yourself. It's when you go into that sawing motion that your blade works. So remember that. They say more people get cut just by using a dull knife than using a sharp knife. That's not necessarily true though, because I sliced my finger the other day right at the bed of my fingernail. But yeah, so going back to this recipe and why I chose it, and my whole theme of healthy meals in minutes. I have a skill set. Look, I'm getting my veggies everywhere. Do you do that when you're cutting? I do all the time. And if your countertop's clean, then it's okay, right? So healthy meals in minutes. I've spent the last probably 25 years in the health food sector of the world, and I have just learned the direct connection between food and health. Healthy gut, healthy body, healthy gut, healthy brain. It goes on. And it all comes back to our friendly food fiber. Zucchini is super rich in fiber, if you did not know that. Fun fact. Here's something fun you can do also. If you have your ground turkey and it's coming in a package, you can use your paring knife to open it. So much fun. At least it's fun for me. Maybe it is for you too. So I'm opening up our ground turkey. If you're getting it from a butcher store, maybe it's wrapped up. Either way it works. If you are touching raw food, you want to make sure that you are going to be washing your hands as we are going along, okay? So we are going to turn our burner on, wow, look at that. We're gonna put it on probably, so we want it on about medium high at the most. Medium is really best, okay? So like I said, with a fire, you're gonna be watching things a little bit differently. You definitely don't wanna keep your cooking spoon in there, and that is an ingredient that we have to have. Have you ever had veggie juice? I'm having veggie juices instead of wine and cocktails with my meal today. They're crisp, they're refreshing, and again, it all has to do with energy and how we're fueling our body. So that's my choice. You will notice in the recipe, I say when your pan feels warm to a hovering hand, that doesn't mean that you are touching your pan and burning yourself, okay? Not what you want to be doing. But once you start to feel that heat, that is when we're going to be adding our Primal Kitchen avocado oil. Gonna drizzle that in, and you're gonna notice that it gets kind of shimmery. Okay? So once you have that shimmer happening, or if you start seeing it kind of separate once you're putting that in your pan, that's when you know it's hot. And you can always do this also. However, you might also end up seeing smoking coming from your oil, which you don't want to be happening, right? All right, so we are going to gently put our ground turkey into here. And then we are going to wash our hands, right? Another thing you want to make sure of is that you are not going to be using a wet towel to handle hot handles because the water transfers that heat. We are also going to put this zucchini in now. Yes, I know a bamboo or a wood cutting board is a much healthier, safer option for many people. However, it's really kind of nice having a thin cutting board that you can just slip all of your ingredients into and not worry about it. So, our zucchini and our ground turkey is in here. We're going to stir this up a little bit. We're going to put a little bit of salt. So my husband and I go back and forth on this whole salt bowl thing. And one thing that I have noticed is that if you are picking up your salt with your fingers, it's just so much fun to do, and then you get to do that little flair that you always see with all the chefs, and it's so fancy. However, if you go back into there, or if you're touching whatever other foods you have, then you're getting all that crusty stuff in the salt. So I like to keep a spoon to be sprinkling with. At this point, I'm also going to add some of my Moroccan spice, or your Moroccan spice, right? So we're going to put some in so that way it can start infusing, if you want to use that word, into our dish. I'm going to stir this up a little bit more. And I think I can put this heat up just a little bit. Let's see what happens. And we're going to cover it. So fiber. I had brought that up and I was talking about zucchini. Interesting fact with zucchini is that it's one of those vegetables that is beneficial for diabetics. Don't really know why other than the fiber part, and my understanding with diabetes is that when you have insulin resistance, it kind of makes the door handle slippery and you can't open it up to get that insulin with your sugar to regulate things. Fiber helps open that up. So in having this recipe, for example, we're going to be having butternut squash in there as well. It helps with that. I'm a chef. I am not a nutritionist. I am not a dietitian. I have worked with various practitioners over the years. And these are just fun facts that I've learned about things. So if I can help you and your body and your cooking all at the same time, that's what I love to do. Okay, we're going to open this back up. So our zucchini is cooking, our turkey is about halfway done. Since we are talking about poultry, we want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. Even though things have come a long way as far as bacterias and everything, you always want to cook your poultry until it's completely done. If you're looking at this, the way I'm looking at it right now, I'd like to see a little bit more of our Moroccan spice on there. Can you smell it? I think it could use a little bit more. So we're going to add it right now. I know that in our recipe, I'm not good at following my own recipes. It says 1 tablespoon of Moroccan spice. So we're going to put a little bit more. And I think if we look and see this, we're going to notice that the turkey is almost done. I would say at this point, the turkey is about 2/3 of the way cooked. So at this point now, I am going to add our butternut squash because we want the seasonings to get infused into it as well. And we're going to add a little bit more salt at this point also. I'm using Primal Kitchen's avocado oil with our Moroccan turkey with zucchini and butternut squash today. The silky, buttery texture and neutral flavor of this versatile cooking oil lets the taste of your meal shine right through, especially with the spices that we have today. So here we have our butternut squash. Let's lay this out a little bit, because if you spread it out before you start seasoning, then you're not going to have this big glob right in the middle. So I'm going to put a little bit more, sprinkle here, sprinkle there. That's all we need is a sprinkle. And we're going to put a little bit more salt at this point. It's interesting, my son worked at a barbecue grilling place for a while. And one thing that I did not know, yes, we don't know everything as much as we would like to think that we do. He had said that whenever you are cooking meats, you don't add pepper until the end because pepper scorches. I was like, never thought about that. Although, when you go to Chinese cooking, they always recommend that you salt, pepper your meat, and you let that sit, or your shrimp or your fish or whatever, and you let that sit until it's time to cook it. And that tastes good too. So I'm here to break rules with you. I'm here to stretch boundaries. I'm here to make mistakes because you're going to make them also, and we're still going to make things taste good. And by things, I mean the meals that we are having. So as a family, we're busy, or as whatever is happening in your life. So we're going to make this a nice family meal. We're going to check and see how our food is doing here. I think we have maybe 1 more minute until our ground turkey is completely cooked through. You will see that the butternut squash is defrosting / cooking, right? And we're going to take a little taste to see what needs to happen at this point. If you're tasting while you're doing this, make sure you don't get the raw meat. You want to get cooked, okay? This is going to be so good. Look right there, we still have some raw turkey. But everything is really mixing together. I impressed myself. It's been a while since I've made this recipe. I'm like, wow, this is really good. So, now, if you want your zucchini cooked more, put the lid back on and let it cook for a couple more minutes. I like zucchini just a little bit al dente still, so I'm going to turn this burner off. We are going to put our meal right in here. Or maybe you're putting it directly onto your family's plates. I know we used to do that, and then if anybody wanted anything extra afterwards, then that's what would happen. At this point right now, you are going to wash your pan and your cutting board and your knife. And we are doing this so that you don't have any cleanup other than your dinner dishes. See if that'll sit there for us. We're going to wash our spoon. We're going to wash our pan. Tasting spoon. Right? And you'll notice that keeping your pan on a medium heat means it's much easier to cook, to clean. Now, if you partake of the vine, there is this fabulous, fabulous wine company that I have found called PRP Wines that are preservative-free, no added sulfites. And to pair with this, we have a Blue Bottle Cabernet today. It is a slightly sweet German wine with aromas of apricot, green apple, and pear. The fruity, semi-sweet nature will cut through the richness of this dish. Also, this bottle, they don't add any glucose to, if I'm correct. And so this entire bottle of wine is only 110 calories. How much fun is that? So, again, let's try the finished product. Yum. So, if you want, you could add onions to this. You can put garlic in there. You want tomatoes. You want to put cream, you can pour cream over it if you want to. If you want to put coconut cream in because you're dairy-free, you can add that as well. But we have this fabulous turkey, Moroccan spiced butternut squash and zucchini today. Enjoy.
Stay tuned for next week's grocery list and meal, right after Caring for the Community.
So we're here today with one of the most amazing champions when we are talking about human trafficking, Dottie Groover Skipper. She is the founder and CEO of Heart Dance Foundation. And Dottie, I really don't know what to say other than I'm so privileged and honored to have you here.
Thank you, Adrienne.
And to be sharing the word about something that is just so important, not just here in the Tampa Bay area, but nationally, globally. Mm-hmm. So please, tell me a little bit about how did Heart Dance Foundation begin?
Yes, well, first, thank you so much, Adrienne, for having me on this segment of your show. It's just incredible. Thank you for the work that you do as well.
Thank you.
Heart Dance Foundation, well, let me back up a little bit. I've been in the anti-human trafficking world for over 40 years, and in that time frame, I started a team going into the strip clubs of Tampa Bay. And then I saw the need to really grow that team and started Heart Dance Foundation about 17 years ago, where we have a team of both men and women that go into the clubs, and we build relationship with the women, and our men build relationship with the men who are employed in the club, the ballet guys, the bouncers, the owners, the managers, and help them, if they are ready, with a safety plan, especially the women, a safety plan to get out of that industry, and then work with them to find gainful, respectable employment. So it came to be just realizing the need to really help women in particular who are trapped in that arena, and many of them are under a pimp control, so they are trafficking victims.
Well, thank you for bringing that awareness about, because there's always that question, that half and half kind of thing.
Right.
So what is the mission of Heart Dance?
Well, the mission of Heart Dance is to connect with vulnerable women in particular, but again, we have expanded it to men as well, and help them realize that they are made of great dignity, value, and worth, and that we see them. Many of them think that they are nobodies, so we are invisible. So we just go in, we let them know that we see them, and then, like I said, we just help them get out of the industry if they are in a position where they want to, and then help them with resources. So it is our mission, basically, just letting folks know that we see them, help them in any way that we can. And then we also work on legislation at the local, state, and national level on anti-human trafficking legislation.
Okay, yeah, that's really important, because again, it just goes about the education on the public side to understand, and we're beginning to wrap up here, but 2 quick questions for you. What is Heart Dance's greatest barrier, and how can folks get involved?
Oh, the greatest barrier, I think, is convincing individuals that maybe prostitution is not a choice for the most part, because many of these women are prostituted in the clubs. So that's a big barrier, in getting people to truly understand what human trafficking is. But we're making progress. And of course, funding for all of these things. So
how can we get people involved?
Yes, if anyone wants to join what we are doing at Heart Dance, they can contact us through our website. And financial donations are always welcome. And then we partner with other organizations too, like Safe Homes and things like that. That there's always opportunities to get involved in that way.
So your website again is
heartdancefoundation.org.
All right, well, thank you, Dottie Groover Skipper, so much for being here. We're talking about Heart Dance Foundation, and it's heartdancefoundation.org.
Correct.
That you can find more information if you want to get involved, whether it is financially, to give some donations, if you want to be part of any of the events that they may have going on, or give them to support to those that are out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Join us next week to make orange sesame chicken with oven-roasted broccoli and pea salad. Today's segments were sponsored by Cargacca Services, where family values and contracting expertise unite. Contact Carlos today to start building your dream into a reality at cargacca@yahoo.com. Give him a call at 813-735-8502. And Advanced Massage and Colon Hydrotherapy, empowering a healthy body inside and out. Make your appointment today with Cheryl at advancedmassageandcolonhydrotherapy.com.